It worked out.
You're so goofy.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Everyday Husband Quotes, the channel for marriage advice, marriage entertainment, and everything else marriage. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel.
I'm gonna be honest with you, an eye-opener, a learning experience. You definitely, when you see yourself in action, whether that's interacting with people, ups and downs, the things that you say, the things that you experience with other people, it's like, wow, this is how I look. This is what I do.
This
you
is
know,
me.
so let me make some changes. So, I'm cool, I'm coasting. So it's a learning experience.
I would say the same as what Jason has said. It's definitely a learning experience. Okay. And it's always a little awkward to see yourself, on a big screen and, to see, your interactions. Like me, I'm gonna tell you straight up, you already know. Like I have faces for days. So some of the faces that I saw myself make was like, oh, that's And so I laughed a lot, honestly. But it was a great experience.
So, honestly, I'm gonna keep it all the way a buck with you. I was the guy going around talking to as many people as possible, making sure that I get as many connections and kind of understand, the environment that I'm in. However, I saw Liz. I'm not gonna lie to you.
In that green.
From a distance, she's walking in there. She has like a little black pants on and a green top. And I'm like, man, and I see, the brothers talking to her, some of the ladies, they're clicked up over there. And I'm currently talking to, I want to say I was talking to Amber. Okay. And once I finished talking to her, I make my way over to Liz, trying to get to her. But every time I get to her, somebody's pulling her away at the production. Hey, we need you to do this over here. Or, hey, look, I want to talk to you, So what I had to do was basically get eye contact with her. And say, hey, look, I'm coming for you, woman. That's what I said, straight up. Hey, I'm coming for you. I don't know who you are, but look, I'm just know, I'm gonna get you.
That's exactly what he said. He was very intentional since day one. And he told me I'm coming, and it I was like very impressed. I was like, oh, okay, you gonna come for me? We gonna see what that's about. But no, but he was very intentional, and my first impression of Jason when I so silly stop. My first impression of Jason, I saw him I was like, oh wow. And I'll tell you this now. Okay. I'm a sucker for yellow bones. Okay.
Listen,
listen, honey. If you look good, you look good. I'm not into all, but my father was a yellow skinned man, and I had a really very close relationship with my dad, so I always honored him. And so when I saw him, I was like, oh, he's handsome. I was like, okay. And so, what really struck me was his conversation. And I was like, wow, and I was like, oh, he's solid. Like, very intellectual. I mean, held my attention the whole time. And I was just like, okay. And then when he did that, I'm coming for you, girl, baby.
That's what I do.
That was all I needed. Oh yeah, it was the dress was red. I know it popped up as pink. It was actually red.
Yes. It's my favorite color too.
Yes, it's
he came in there slaying, I ain't gonna lie. But we've been talking since the very beginning of the process. However, with multiple people, everybody doing the same thing. It's more so of a time management, trying to get dates, connections with people. So that's kind of where that began, was at the very beginning.
We actually had a conversation the night before the masquerade ball. And I told him, I said, we did. And I said, so, we're talking. I said, are you going to, how are you going to, look? Are you going to, be ready for me? And he was like, come on with it. Bring the fire, girl. And Jason, for me, I'm going to say this, was notorious. for really pulling a certain fire out of me, you know, because I was reserved. I was reserved. I was scoping the scene, checking everything out, and he was like, "You got fire in you. Like, I'm gonna help you. Yeah, you gonna pull that. I'm gonna pull that out of you." And so
here's the thing: Houston is big but small. That's the saying that we have down here. For some odd reason, no matter how spread out it is, everybody knows everybody.
Okay.
As far as Liz and I, here's a funny story. So I was teaching at a school about 2 years ago, and I took my class out on a field trip to the ensemble theater. Yeah, ensemble theater, and she's acting in this playwright. And the funny thing, I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, she's the auntie in the play. And they had this young girl, and she's supposed to be, you know, like the hot stuff. And I'm telling my coworker, I'm like, man, look at that auntie though, man. Like, she's good looking. Like, boy, she's killing that green dress, man. So, and here we are 2.5, 3 years later, and we bump into each other. Now, I didn't know her, like, as far as having conversations with her, going on any dates. It's just, I happened to see her in public once before. As far as Alexis is concerned, yes, so her son he's been in my nonprofit. So I have a nonprofit called I Am, and he's been a part of that for 2 years. And so that's how I know Alexis from before. To see her on the show was a surprise. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, wow, Lex here. And she was like, oh yeah, you know, hey. And we got to talking and conversing and trying to get to know each other. So that's where we picked up at.
I actually, so my part of it. So when I first walk in, I see Troy. I'm like, Troy, what are you doing here? Me and Troy used to work together at this electricity company called Jackson Energy like years ago. So it was, we would see each other, on Facebook here and there. And so to see him, to be honest, I'm happy I saw him because that kind of relaxed my nerves because I was like so nervous going into the mixer. And it was like,
boy, give me a beer. No, I got you, man.
So that was the person that I saw, and I saw I didn't know David, but we were Facebook friends.
Ooh, that's a good question. So for me, that's actually a quality that I look for in a woman. Okay. But in this process, I tell people all the time that it's not just, so when you view it, you think, okay, it's just a dating show, but there's so many other components that go along with it. And what people need to understand, like from the cast perspective, is they will record everything. And you have to constantly remind yourself, I don't care what adverse situation that I'm in, keep my cool. And so a thing for me was, when I'm in a difficult situation, I'm like, okay, what would Jesus do? Or what would God do? So it's just like, okay, oh man, she don't cut up, she don't say this about me, but I'm gonna chill. So that's for me.
Yeah. Listen, we on the same page. That's the same, really being grounded in my faith. And I always say, I'm not a religious person. I am a spiritual person that has a relationship with God. And so that's my thing. And so, I wanted to make sure that I represented, God, and also just be the best version of myself. And, that also was the thing that attracted me to Jason. Like on the mixer, the boy broke down the book of Daniel. We was talking about social injustice and issues, and he wasn't flaunting it. He wasn't just trying to put it out there, but it just was in him. And even during the process, towards the end, he would, we'd be on the phone, and before we get off the phone, he'd be like, hey, you want to pray? Like, yeah. All right. That became like a consistent thing. Like, to this day, we do that.
Yeah, especially when that blizzard hit.
Oh, my gosh.
We were some praying people, man.
And I feel like hearts melted everywhere. You are worth it. You are worth my time. You are worth the pursuit.
Yes.
When did you have the moment when you knew that, hey, I got to give Liz this white rose?
So here's the thing about it. after I made my decision with Liz, it started with that because, you know, I was reflecting on just how she moved as a person and the things that she would say, not just with me, but just with other brothers in the process. And, you know, one of the things that I said to Liz was, hey, I understand that, you know, we're doing this process. I understand that it's a little unorthodox. However, you know, I'm doing this because you deserve to be honored. You know, just the way that you move. Yeah. So, you know, I kind of jumped, but just to kind of go back, it was just self-reflecting that night when I chose her. I had a long ride back home, and I was just thinking about all the things that she has, the conversations that we have had, the things that we have done together, the communication. We built such a strong trust factor so quick, which I wasn't expecting it, but that came from just being brutally honest. And let me tell you something, a lot of people don't know this. I was so honest in this process that it got me in trouble. Like, to a point to where there's other dudes was like, dude, like, really? Like, you just gonna just come out and say it like that? Like, you know, so I've been in that hot seat with Liz, you know, so I don't want y'all thinking it's all perfect. But because of my honesty, you know, I believe that she was able to open up to me, and we're able to build that trust factor early. So by the time later. So by the time we get to the White Rose, you know, it was just speaking from the heart. And I didn't know that she was going to react in the way that she did.
And I can I say this? Yes. So, like, literally maybe 5 days before, I was talking to my mom, and my mom knows my journey and everything, and I was talking to her, and I was feeling really emotional because the prior week, I was getting hit. I was in the bubble. I almost got eliminated. You know, the whole situation that happened with, you know, the friend's date with David, our situation. It was just so much on me, and I shared with my mom, and I was crying on the phone, and I said, Mom, I said, you know, I just want somebody to see my heart and who I am. And I was like, and I was crying to God, I want somebody to see my heart, like the true essence of who I am. And I prayed to God that. And so here we go a few days later, he comes with this white rose.
Look at that.
And that's why I was falling, I was crying because I'm like, God, you saw my heart. Like,
he heard you.